Hola, hola, hola. Hey guys, what's up? How you all doing? This is Pharrell here, and this is Discover with Pharrell. I thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of this family. Thank you for my subscribers. Thank you to those who are coming back, those who are new. Welcome to this family. Please make sure you subscribe. This is the home of discovery. We discover a lot of things about ourselves and what is surrounding us. And today we are doing this video because I just want to compare, not really comparing, contrast, the USA and some parts of Europe. So before I came to the USA, I happened to go to Europe and specifically Sweden for studies. So I went there for an exchange program, and there are some things I saw there, or my experience there, and then coming back and coming to the United States. We have some differences and similarities, but today I'm just gonna tell you the good things about Europe, because I have experienced Africa, I have experienced Europe, and I have experienced America, right? And so, of course, I didn't stay there for long. It was just a few months, but it was worth it, and I learned a few things here and there. So let's get into it. Now, so the first thing I loved about Europe in general. So the visa that I got, first of all, the visa that I got was a Schengen visa. And with that visa, I was able to travel to different countries because I was, they gave me a chance to travel to 16 countries with one visa. So a Schengen visa gives you an opportunity to transverse across Europe. And so I was able to go to certain countries. So our first entry point was Stockholm, that is Sweden. That's where we were going to study. And so the very first thing that I loved about this place is, number one, transportation, right? Transportation. So the transportation system in Europe is so good, is so coordinated that you don't need a car. Like if you don't own a car, you still move from point A to point B. You move from one city to the other city. Of course, the people who came to pick us from the airport, they came to pick us with their car. But then what you do, after you get there, you can get a pass. So this pass can either be a train pass and a bus pass. So you use the same pass. So you can either have a day pass, a month pass, or whatever. So that's what you do. So you just go pay your money, and then I think we did a 3-month pass because we were staying there for 3 months, and so we could use this card for the bus, and we could also use it for the train, and it was unlimited. If you want to move from point A to point B, and all those trains are coordinated, they're using the same system. So you use the same card with all the buses and with all the trains, right? So if you're moving from your house, you get into a bus and then it takes you to the station. So I was living in a place called Sodoma, and the closest train station was Sodra station. So it was like maybe 10 minutes. So you just get into a bus, then it drops you, when you're entering the bus, you tap in the card, then you go in, then you go to the train station, you wait for your train, and then the system is so good because this train comes, then another one comes in like 2 minutes, another one comes in like 5 minutes. So the transport is very efficient. And so that is one thing that I loved about it, because you can be able to travel everywhere. You can be able to go to school, you can be able to go do your groceries. It's so good, it's so nice. So I was comparing that to Kenya, because in Kenya we also have good transport, because we have public transport. We have the matatus, and sometimes they are very reliable, right? That means if you don't have a car in Kenya, you can still do a lot of stuff, because you just hop into a matatu and you just go do your things. Although now in Europe it's very, very advanced. So that is one thing. When you compare that to America, like most of the cities or most of the places in America don't have like public transport system like buses, maybe they are just buses in the city, and certain cities like Seattle, Washington. I've been to New York. I've been to Boston. They have buses, but most of the states, like, they don't have an elaborate transport system, public transport system like Europe does. So here, like, if you don't have a car, it becomes very unreliable because you have to travel, you have to go to work, you have to literally, like where I live, I need a car. If you don't have a car, how are you gonna get to work, right? So owning a car is not even a luxurious thing. It's just, it's a necessity, right? So that is one of the things. So here, if you don't have a car, you'll be in trouble, right? If you don't work, in those major cities. Now, another thing I noticed is the health system. The health system in Europe is so organized, and specifically I'm talking about Sweden, because of course we had insurance as exchange students. And so I remember I had a problem with my teeth when I was there, and then they did a filling, and that filling, it's been there for ages, right? This is way back in 2016, and I didn't pay a dime. So when I was doing my research, and I was talking to people there, to the doctors there, they're like, yeah, people pay insurance, but when you go to the hospital, most of those countries in Europe, you don't pay money. You don't pay a lot of money. Maybe when you go to the emergency room, your insurance works for you, right? Your insurance pays everything for you. For example, if you're talking about the NHS system in the UK, right? You don't have to suffer so many bills after going to a hospital, right? Here in America, if you call for an ambulance, you have to pay a lot of money. Like, I remember when there was a time I had an accident and I called an ambulance. Okay, of course, an ambulance came, and it was just a few miles to the hospital, and I paid like $1,400, right, for an ambulance. That was crazy. That was very crazy, and I was very new here. And then when you go to the hospital. So I remember, like, there was a time I went there to the emergency room. I had like chest pains. I remember I had insurance, and then I stayed there for like 2 hours in the emergency room. They did some tests and everything. I didn't have any problems, and then the bill came. It was $8,000. $8,000. What is that? Like, you stayed for 2 hours and then you're billed $8,000. So they billed my insurance like $5,000, and so I was left to pay $3,000. So you are like, man, even if you have pain or whatever, you're like, I fear going to the emergency room, because even if I have insurance, maybe I'm gonna pay a lot of money out of pocket, right? So those are some of the things I'm like, man, that needs to change. Because you have some other people who maybe you're in the hospital for days and days. The hospital bill will be very, very huge. But I was talking to some friends who live in the UK, and they're like, the NHS takes care of a lot of hospital bills, right? And so that's one of another major difference. And also talking about Kenya, oh my God, I don't know, because it's crazy. Some of these hospitals, if you don't have a deposit, like if you don't deposit money fast, you can even die, because they'll not take you in, right? Some of these hospitals, like, they want money first so that they can treat you, so that they can see you. And that's crazy, because that should never happen. That should never happen. At least here, they will treat you first, and then they'll send you the bill, right? So that's some of the the differences. And I think for me, I felt like when I was in Sweden, there was a lot of people, like, from other different countries here, there. So there was a lot of mixture of different cultures here and there, and then you don't feel like you are segregated. Sometimes here you feel like you go to a place, people don't like you, or people treat you in a certain way, but I think for me, that is my personal opinion. I think in Stockholm you feel very welcome, right? And people, people mind their own business, of course. That is one of the nations whereby like people mind their business. Nobody talks to you, and that's why you find so many people depressed. Like when you go into a bus, nobody's talking, everybody's on their earphones, everybody's on their phone. You just do your business and go wherever you're going. Come back to Africa, oh my God. The buses, they are lively. The matatus, they are lively. People in the streets, they are talking to you and they don't know you. That's lively. So you go outside here, you meet a lot of different people, you meet a lot of, different cultures. And that was great. That was great, like having to experience those different levels, like here in America, in Europe, and in Africa. So that was quite something for me, right? So another thing is the food. The food is different, of course. The food is very different. In Europe, a lot of people love coffee in Europe, and that's when I started taking coffee because they have like fika. Fika is like coffee time. Even when people are working their office, there's coffee time. The bosses come, you have coffee together with your employees, you have fun. They have like a very, very nice working environment there. Even if it's your boss, you're calling them by their name, their first name or whatever. If it's your lecturers, we are calling them by their name. I'm like, hi Victoria, and they're your professor. But in Kenya, you want to be called sir, you want to be called, I don't know, all those kind of things, madam. But that was very different there, right? And also here, it's, I'm not very sure about America, but in Europe, that's what I experienced. And then, okay, I was talking about the food. The food is very different, Kenyan food sometimes is very fresh, maybe fresh from the garden. Here in America, most of the foods are processed unless you buy organic food. Also, the same case in Europe, processed foods and everything, but also you can get like organic food. And then I noticed like, oh my God, in Europe, especially in Sweden, people love drinking. Oh my God, I don't know, they love taking beer and everything. I don't know. I saw people drinking like from Thursday to Sunday, continuous. I don't know how they do it, but yeah. And then yes, those were some of the differences that I noticed. And I think I always tell people like, go to different places, wherever you want to go, just go, experience that place, and then make a decision where do you want to live. I think now my next place that I want to experience is Australia and Canada. Canada is closer to me, so I can just go there anytime, but I want to just go to the other side of the world, Australia, and see the snakes and the spiders. Who is in Australia? Call me there. I want to come visit. Discover with Pharrell. Make sure you subscribe. We'll be discovering more. Thank you, guys.